Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello, hello. We're all in a better mood today. Hello, hello.
Hello!
Ah!
Hello! As my kid would say. Heyo!
Heyo. Isn't that what Ed McMahon would say on the...
Heyo! Yeah.
on the Tonight Show or something.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. We're feeling better. It's sunny out, and it's Wednesday, and Chris Potter's here. It's October 17th. And
Gosh, what more do you need?
there was a presidential debate last night, and there's the guy who forgot to show up at the last debate.
Yeah.
Woo! And did it rattle Mr. Romney? I think it did.
I think it did a little.
Oh, I think it did.
Please proceed, Governor Romney. Please proceed.
Oh, man. You know, at the beginning, when they literally were circling each other like boxers. I was watching it with, the performance artist Vanessa German. She jumps off the couch and she really thought it was gonna, she reads body language really well, and she thought, all right, woo, we had more fun. It was so engaged. They were both in each other's space. Remember the big to-do that was made about, what was it? It was Al Gore getting in, he crossed this, line. These two, woo! Just a little more, and you could see blows being exchanged.
That would be a great thing for democracy.
So, and I thought under the circumstances, Candy Crowley did pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, so we've had 3 debates now when you include the vice presidential, and contrary to every stereotype people have, I would say it was the one moderated by the male, where
the old white male
was just completely cowed into submission. And you saw both of the female moderators actually taking some ownership. I mean, obviously the moment, the defining moment last night was the Libya thing, which, I mean, honestly, really? That's just kind of crazy. I mean, I'm glad that our guy scored his points.
What, the whole issue that it's an
but
issue,
that you didn't use the word terror quickly enough. First, I mean, is it possible that the Republicans are in this circle that they don't really look to see? I mean, this is a big talking point for him. You would have thought they would have sort of gone back and checked the record, and there was a piece in Politico about it a few days ago, and Politico's a widely read thing that said, actually the president, da-da-da.
Well, that's why the president said, check the transcript.
Yeah, and but then
they never did, obviously.
And you kind of wonder, did they really think that Democrats are afraid to use the terror label, that we just shy away from, we can't call things terrorism? I mean, it's the easiest, most politically expedient thing in the world to do, it's terrorism, everything's terrorism. You know what I mean? It's just
well, they're playing to the the other reality that their base inhabits.
Yeah.
You know, that Democrats are wusses and apology tours and all that kind of stuff. I mean, reality needn't intrude.
And the whole lack of perspective is what gets you. I mean, he's up there saying that the deaths of these 4 guys is tragic. I mean, it's a terrible thing that happened. But to say this is the unraveling of the entire Obama, let us not forget that the saintly Ronald Reagan on his watch, we lost more than 200 Marines in Beirut, and nobody said this shows the collapse of Ronald Reagan's foreign policy.
And when I think Romney did bring it up, this is the first time since 19 whatever, and I'm
79 that
and I'm thinking,
it's. So, it's terrible, but what are you supposed to do about that? Yeah.
No, I thought, when the Libya thing came up, I thought, I said, this is probably going to be, this is a point for him. They'll demagogue this.
Yeah.
And
he just overplayed it. Wow. It. So sure of himself.
And the president, who did I see? His governor of Massachusetts now.
Deval
Patrick. Who knows Obama really very well. I mean, they're friends as well as pals together. He said Obama's response to that, he said, that's Obama when he is really
mad,
angry.
Yeah.
He said that was genuine. That was not rehearsed. That was as genuine as it comes.
Yeah. And he was. I mean, that was the other thing is the moral high ground of saying to think that this administration is going to, when the deaths of 4 of our people, it just doesn't, when you really back up and think about it, the accusation just doesn't make that much sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. You know what? They got it wrong. They screwed up. They didn't recognize what was going on. Maybe it took them longer than they should. It's a mistake. Mistakes get made. But this notion that there was some sort of secret agenda to, I don't even know what, to pretend terrorism doesn't happen. When he's blowing people up with Predator drones every other Tuesday, I mean, it's just what the hell are you guys talking about? The other, of course, great moment, was the binder thing, which also, by the way, turns out
full of women.
Binders full of women,
and that it was a lie because, in fact, Romney did not send his own people out to find these elusive thing called women who have education and are capable. No, he did not. Did he?
I mean, you're in Boston. You can find an educated woman by throwing a rock. This is like a couple of major universities there. Jesus Christ.
Find me a woman with a braid in her head. He sent his knights out on this quest.
Yeah, it's exactly like Galahad. The pair of coconuts.
And they came back with binders full of women. And the image that brings up is, a bunch of white guys in suits sitting around paging through,
Are there photos with that
Yes,
one?
exactly. Photos, right. Oh, here, look at this one.
Yeah.
Binders full of women.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah. So, Tom Sokolowski has emailed, and he's unhappy. Come on, Tom. What's wrong?
No. This is good.
You weren't drinking? You drink through these things. Weren't you drinking?
Yeah, I was
pretty sloshed by the end.
I was having a beer. I was still working, so
Oh, well, I was working.
I wanted to stay loose,
discuss it the next day, but I also wanted to have a good time. And anyway, Tom says this. Mm-hmm. But where was the vision? You mean
this is Lynn's interpretive reading of Tom's email? We should say.
I swear, I thought I saw a vision of the Virgin Mary. In Candy Crowley's the fold of one of her scarf. Yes. Where was the vision? Yeah. There were so many dubious, numbing lists of facts on both sides that one, read Tom, got lost. I, read Tom, want a clear, poignant declaration. Sadly, there was no such out punch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, if you looked at the snap polls taken after this thing, a sizable number of people, I think, would agree with that statement.
And a lot of people. I mean,
a lot of people.
It was not considered a
it wasn't a blowout the way Romney blew.
Well, Romney
Obama out
didn't have anyone to debate.
Yeah, right, exactly. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think, I think that, if you look at the questions that were asked of the candidates, most of the time the candidates blew off the question just to go back at each other.
Yes, and what do politicians always do?
That's true, but I think it resonates in a different kind of way. You get these people, and granted, it's all it's all staged managed. The moderator knows what the question's going to be before the person gets up. But you get these people up there, and there's the college kid who is worried about where it's going to go. There's the guy who voted for Obama 4 years ago but is still struggling today. Those are totally legitimate, honest questions that we all have, and they did just sort of turn into these. Well, I'll take that question to
That's what they do.
That's what they do, and I think that can be frustrating for people. I would be surprised if, this debate was good for a couple reasons. One, I think it just finally, in a way anybody could see, just pointed up this whole Libya thing as the demagoguing BS that it is. B, it did reassure those of us
who wanted to know our president wanted 4 more years.
Yeah. Those are very important things. As far as its ability to convince people who still, whoever they are, haven't.
Well, see, that was my thing. So you had an audience full of undecided voters.
Yeah.
Do you think really they're undecided? And did you see they were blindingly white, mostly male?
Yeah.
There were 2 black people.
Yeah. And one of whom got a question, and then
whom, of course, it was perfect. Let's have a black guy. Sound like he won't vote for him again. That'll make certain people's heads spin. I don't know. I'm looking at these. I think of undecided voters as dolts. I'm sorry. Although, actually, some of them asked some of the more pointed and questions that I think we've heard in any of these debates.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree with that. The first real questions about equality for women, which I think it took a little fumbling on Obama's part, but I think he eventually, when you kind of put that case together, he made it at a couple different points. I think it's pretty much a slam dunk case, and just shocked at the at Romney's answer, not just about the binders, but about this whole thing where it's somehow. Here's where you can tell you're about to get a line from these guys: is they start talking about some personal anecdote,
right?
Or Romney starts to talk about what he did as governor,
right?
And it's these little things from your personal past, they're nice. I'm glad for you that you had these wonderful experiences, but you haven't said what you actually intend to do as president, and the reason for that is obvious to you and I and the people listening, is because he doesn't intend to do anything. He has no policy prescription. So whereas Obama's out there and talking about these, and I thought it was a very strong point for him, these issues of equal pay is not just being a woman's issue, but being a family issue. Because women, yes, and an economic issue, yes,
right.
Because now what he's done, and this is what he's always done so well, and this is where I think he did show some vision. I agree with the gist of Tom's saying, but I do think there are some exceptions there, and this vision of, I'm going to take this thing that's so often been a wedge issue, and I'm actually going to say how it's not just because you have a mother or you have a sister or a daughter who's in the workforce, it's because families are made up of people who all contribute, and an unfairness to one member of that family is an unfairness to all of them, and an unfairness to everyone in the country.
You know what it does? It shows a difference in, again, the sense that both of these men carry around in their head about what America looks like and what American families are. And Mitt Romney and his crowd still have that Ozzie and Harriet thing going on in their head.
Yeah, flexible. His thing was flexible time, so those broads can get home and have dinner ready for when I get there, I guess. That, and I just want an economy that grows so much that even women can be part of the, can benefit from it. It just suggests that he has no answer on an equity question.
There was one thing that was said which I did suck my breath in, and it was something that came out of Romney. And I was stunned, and I can't have been alone. It was when he was trying to do what he did so well at the first debate, because there was no moderator, and he simply took over that position.
Yeah.
He tried to do it with Candy. and didn't succeed, generally speaking. But this is when he turned to the president. I can't remember exactly what he was talking about, and he was like, blah, 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 blah. And the president had, he started to just respond to something. What? And Romney...
You'll get your chance.
You'll get your chance in a moment. I'm still speaking. Well, I was stunned because I am sorry. That is the President of the United States. Right. I don't think that you... Why was there all this talk about disrespect when Biden was laughing? Yeah. And disrespect here. I have never seen such disrespect in my life. He treated him well. Charles Pierce has a great line. This guy's a great writer. Do you know him?
I know of him. I don't read him as often as I should, probably, but yeah.
Okay. He said, speaking of Romney, he got in the president's face, he got in Crowley's face. That moment when he was hectoring the president about the president's pension made him look like someone to whom the valet has brought the wrong Mercedes. And then he talks, too. He said he thought it was a revelatory moment when he said, you'll get your chance, I'm still speaking, because here he looks at Barack Obama as, as the help.
Yeah.
I mean, somewhere in his head, he would look at almost anybody that way, right? Outside of street protesters and that Iraqi guy who threw a shoe at George W. Bush, I have never seen a more lucid example of manifest public disrespect for a sitting president than the hair-curling contempt with which Romney invested those words. Yeah. You'll get a chance in a moment. I'm still speaking. I've certainly never seen one from another candidate. He's really lucky Barack Obama prizes cool over everything else. LBJ would have taken out his heart with a pair of salad tongs, and Harry Truman would have bitten off his nose.
Yeah.
Ain't that really, it was outrageous. One more thing from Pierce about Romney, because he's really on with this. He talked about Romney bitching through the whole thing.
That was amazing.
And if you were watching, I was watching on CNN. And I'm never going to do that again because of that stupid line they have.
Oh, yeah.
These voters going,
the people with the little dials, like plus, minus, either they like or dislike.
And I got into it, but every time Romney started bitching and this and that.
People hate that.
People
hate that.
They hate it. It went down.
Yeah.
So I kept thinking, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. And Pierce says, he was acting like, why this uppity fellow over there on the other stool was being allowed to speak before he was spoken to, and why he didn't get to speak at length on whatever he wanted to play. And here's what Pierce says. God, I'd hate to play golf with this guy. He's
going right at the Republican base.
Right. He's the guy who counts to make sure you don't have too many wedges in your bag. He knows every cheap subsection of every cheap ground rule, and he'll call you on every one of them. You couldn't get a free drop out of him with thumb screws. And forget about conceding any putt outside 2 inches. And then, of course, on the 18th hole, with all the money on the line, he kicks his ball out of the rough and denies up and down to the rules committee that he did it. Then he goes into the clubhouse bar and nobody sits with him.
That was sort of an interesting thing at the end of it there, is that the way those two candidates responded to the audience and vice versa at the end of that debate.
The president waded in.
And granted, people, if I had to choose, even if I was an independent voter, like who I was going to go get an autograph with, you go to the president, obviously. Right. But still, it was less about it was really just how he went in, and Romney was just sort of like surrounded by his brood, as opposed to any actual, voters or whatever. So it's,
Well, Vanessa and I noted it was really funny. Actually, Vanessa caught it first, but then it was absolutely true. Ann Romney, after it, was sort of in that scrum, at the end, and she kept sort of like turning and turning, looking for somebody, I guess, to talk to. She never found one. It was just sort of like, and we just watched her all, sort of wandering around aimlessly. It was very funny. Oh, Tom, you get off your high horse.
We got a call? We got a call. Hold on. Here we go.
Hello.
Hello, Lynn. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Good day to you.
And you.
Yes.
Watched the debate last night.
Yes, and are you feeling better?
Well, not excellent for Mr. Romney, but I'm in good spirits about it. Although I'm still peeved at the president. I'm still angry that Barack Obama or a version of him didn't show up in the first debate, because if he had, the election would be all but over. Colorado, Virginia, and Ohio would be solidly in the president's column.
Right.
Agreed.
This would be a done deal.
Agreed.
But the best moment of the night for me was, of course, the Libya moment. Not only where the president dressed him down about his despicable actions following the attack on our embassy in Libya, in Benghazi, but also when Romney thought he had the president on this whole, he never called it an act of terror bid. Yeah. And Barack Obama just said, well, proceed, Governor.
Yeah, I know.
And then called him out on it. And there's this look on Romney's face.
Further out onto the ledge.
And then toward Candy Crowley. And it's like an oh shit moment. It's like, I'm actually going to get called on a lie.
Right.
Someone's actually calling me on my bullshit.
Yeah, it's that moment when
Wile
Coyote.
To happen to me. I'm Mitt Romney, CEO. No one's ever supposed to contradict me.
That's right.
I'm the Prince of Salt Lake City. This is why when I wrote, I think I last wrote to you, Lynn, that this is just why I was so disappointed in the
first
debate strategy in the first debate.
Yeah.
I'm almost convinced the president may have been feeling ill right now. Not right now, but
right at the time,
right now I'm almost convinced the president was just physically unwell at the first debate. But John McCain, the President Obama had to show respect to John McCain. He was a fellow senator who'd served for years. He was an elderly, scarred, partially disabled prisoner of war. You don't have to show respect for Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
The guy's a self-righteous, entitled, spoiled prick.
Yeah.
And he always has been, at least ever since he was a teenager. He's not used to anyone ever contradicting him or saying no to him. And the way to get to a guy like that is just to challenge him. Mm-hmm. He gets angry when someone just challenges him.
Yeah.
Or when you call him out on any of his lies and falsehoods. I mean, there were so many good. I think this debate is going to get better for the president as the media discuss it more over the next few days and the weekend, because there's so many Romney moments. The binders full of women, saying that he wants the economy to be so good that women can get home in time to cook dinner for their husbands.
Right.
Did he say he didn't?
Well, he didn't
say
say
that.
The whole matter of him, trying to repeat this meme that President Obama refuses to say the word terror or terrorism, and getting caught just spouting another falsehood. I'm just so disappointed Barack Obama wasn't there, the first time around, because this thing would have been over.
We all
that
agree.
had been the case.
We all agree. Hey, thanks.
It's funny. I was sort of thinking, Barack Obama may be sort of the political equivalent of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who always seems to find a way to underperform just enough to keep it interesting. You know what I mean? Like, there's and I don't know what that is about him.
Well, I was thinking that is something. I think a lot of people have that need to be on the edge. And maybe, as I think said the day after the debate, he might be like the kind of guy, all the polls said he had it in the bag. He might have needed to get it tighter. I mean, unconsciously. But he didn't feel any, there was no fight in him because he thought, what the hell, blah, blah, blah. And then he put himself in a position where he had to do his last minute thing. Well,
one of the arguments that I've seen, or attempts to explain that, I think was Josh Marshall at Talking Points Memo, who said, if you go back and you look, there's a fairly long history of incumbent presidents bombing the first debate.
That's true.
And it may be something, actually, Lynn, that you kind of spoke about, I think, after the first debate, which is, not just Barack Obama, but a lot of these presidents aren't used to having somebody in their face kind of coming at them the way a debate. It just doesn't happen. Like, obviously, they get plenty of criticism if they only have to, but to actually be in a place, in a room with somebody who's actually getting after you is not, it's just not been their experience for the previous, 3+ years.
Well, see, but that's interesting because the caller was just saying,
that Romney also is not used to
that.
that.
So you had two guys there who, don't like and aren't used to being questioned.
I was struck at the end just how clearly. One sign to me that Romney was rattled by the end of it was sort of falling back on these kind of talking points, fast and furious. It's just like, Jesus, are we back to that?
Yeah.
Government doesn't create jobs, which of course just prompts this whole thing of if government doesn't create jobs, a point you've repeated twice, and you're the guy who can create jobs, why are you running for a position in government, right? Like, why do you feel like that's the appropriate place?
Here's the answer to that.
If jobs are all you're focused on and government can't create jobs, then you should not be running for president. You should be doing whatever it is that creates jobs.
No, but here's the answer to that. I know the answer to that. The answer is I want government to get out of the way.
Right.
And somebody's got to get in.
Somebody's got to do that.
This government under control.
But we heard from the first debate that he didn't oppose regulations or whatever, right? So, how do you, it's just, the other thing that's sort of ironic about it.
What else? There was another great moment when the woman asked him about, I don't want, you're a Republican. I didn't like George W. Bush.
Yes, I was about to bring this up.
And whatever it was, he said, and then...
Yeah.
And then Obama struck.
Yeah.
Well, there is actually a difference between Mr. Romney and
Mr. Bush.
and Mr. Bush.
Yes, quite good.
And then he made Romney look worse.
You're more extreme. You're more
worse.
conservative than the first.
I loved it.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't know. This is one of those things where I wish it would have been good to be in a room full of undecided voters to see whether anybody thought Mitt Romney's response to that question was at all responsive, I guess. Did anybody feel like he did a significant job of actually distancing himself from George Bush? And to me, no. But of course, I know what the real answer to that question is there's really not a lot of daylight on him between them on the really important issues. When it comes to the Middle East, he's every bit as militaristic as Bush is. When it comes to taxation, he's just as bad, if not worse, than Bush is. So, I don't know if anybody really bought that. I'll talk tough on China, which is just, that's it. Like and it's not even gonna. You talk to an economist, and it would be nice, I think, for Americans to think that if we just put those unscrupulous Chinese on notice about their currency manipulation, that will somehow change the underlying realities of global trade and a neoliberal schema. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So, good debate, but I get back to what I think Tom said, which is just, it's good for us. It was a positive thing. Does it move the needle? We'll just have to see.
Well,
I'm not sure.
All you want it to have done is to stop this momentum that Romney had.
Absolutely. I think that's right.
And I can't believe it didn't do that. But
and I'll finally say this because I think it's an important thing to mention every time. We have now 4.5+ hours of debate, not one question about global climate change. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
And there will not be one.
There won't.
Because the next debate's about foreign policy. Yeah. And by the way, I think on foreign policy, Obama will clean his clock. Yeah, because their policy's a muddle. You saw that. You saw that with what I thought was the weakest part of Paul Ryan's performance against Joe Biden was the Afghanistan thing. It's just like, what a train wreck. Right. You can't say anything you'd do differently. Right. Exactly right. And let's be honest, that debate, the third debate is always just like kind of a throwaway, and one that focuses on foreign policy. It's just most people. Most voters don't care. You are not. If these debates have not decided you by this point, debates will not decide you because the last one is not going to move anybody. I don't think. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to take a break, and I think we've done this debate. I think we have. Yeah. So we'll move on to some other... Yeah, we can do a little happy dance while you're doing the commercials maybe, and that'll put an end to it. Okay. We're going to get back to some other issues after this.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Pittsburgh City Paper's Best of Pittsburgh 2012 is available now. Over 100 pages of the best restaurants, clubs, bands, bars, and everything else that makes the Burgh the city of champions. Pittsburgh City Paper Best of Pittsburgh 2012, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania, and on the web at pghcitypaper.com, and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
In a world where the GOP presidential campaign was mind-numbingly long,
on next election day, you can say no to hope and change and choose a better way.
And the president revealed his true intentions.
If I tax each rich man, oh Solyndra, I could lend you all the cash.
Isn't it nice to know that you can laugh at all of them? Come see the Capitol Steps.
November 4th at the Byham Theater. Tickets on sale at trustarts.org and 412-456-6666.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Okay, I got to tell you, we'll tell you.